All right, and we are live, back in the Unicord Podcast Film Room, of course, and I would like to welcome our guests today, Jackie Boy Sports, into the Unicord Podcast Film Room. Jackie, how you doing?
Doing all right, brother. How are you?
I'm doing pretty
Thank you
good.
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. A little worse after Thanksgiving and the Commanders, but we thug it out.
I didn't know you were a Commanders guy.
I'm a Commanders guy and Tyler's a Cowboys guy, and I spent
Ah,
Thanksgiving with his family. Oh, oh, it was
that must
tough.
have been fun.
No. No. But yeah, obviously we are just removed from Thanksgiving and we missed our opportunity to get off our Thanksgiving hot takes. What's the best Thanksgiving food to you?
Best Thanksgiving food. Are desserts included in that?
Yes. Yeah.
Then I would have to say my grandfather makes a bomb Kentucky Derby pie. You know what
Oh,
that
what is
is?
that? No.
Pecan pie with Kentucky bourbon and chocolate chips in it.
Ooh, that does sound good. Holy shit.
What about you?
I love for desserts. I love pumpkin pie with like a drop of vanilla ice cream on it. I don't think you can really go
Yes,
wrong with
sir.
that. And then for like dinner foods, I would say I like the ham. We usually
Yeah.
have we'll either have ham or turkey depending on whose family we're with. I'm not a big turkey guy, and then mac and cheese is just like
My wa-
can't go
my
wrong.
wife my wife hates turkey.
Hates
The
I
only
can
turkey
see
she
it.
can stand is my mom's.
I can see hating turkey because it's hard to do really exceptionally well.
It's very easy to make a dry turkey,
Oh
and
yeah.
dry turkey is not the move.
Yeah,
It's not the move.
Tyler's family, he comes from a family of like really good cooks. So our
Mm,
Thanksgivings with them I always really look forward to. And the turkey was really good this year. The stuffing was great. Um
phenomenal.
one of yeah, it was just awesome. Um yeah, no turkey. Is there any food you don't like that people would be like, "What?"
I'm not a big stuffing guy. I never have been. A lot of people love
I
stuffing, and
can
I
see that.
cannot stand it.
Yeah, stuffing's one of those foods where everybody loves it so much that I feel like the people who don't like it just kind of stay quiet about it because they know the second they say I don't like stuffing, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?
What?
Huh?"
Yeah.
Dude, it's yeah. No, but Thanksgiving was wonderful. If I know, are you a Spotify or an Apple Music guy?
I'm a Spotify.
So Spotify Wrapped obviously coming up. Who do you think is going to be your number one artist?
Star-Lord. It
Who?
is every year. I'm always Star-Lord, he's I guess he's lesser known. He's not really mainstream. He does, like, rap, but it's, like, metal rap. A lot
Oh,
of
sounds good.
screaming.
Yeah.
I'm always in the top, like, 0.1% of his listeners.
Yeah.
Not you know. What about you? Who's your top 3?
Top three? Ooh. Probably, I think Joy Division's gonna have a spot there for sure.
Mm,
I think we'll probably see Baby Keem. Yeah, I just
yeah,
listen to him whenever it's like a routine where I'll turn on one of his songs whenever I'm like walking class to class. So that's like
yeah.
3 or 4 songs a day just off going to class. So that's probably up there. And then last one, it's hard to say. Maybe Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. You got
Yeah.
the 2 cousins in there. I
Yeah.
like it.
I do wonder
My top
if
3,
yeah.
you said, huh?
I do wonder if their like collaboration songs, like the Hillbillies and Family Ties count as a stream for both, or if it just counts as one or the other.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a big music person anymore. I'm
Yeah.
a big podcast guy.
Hmm.
Listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, I like podcasts when I'm like driving, especially on a long drive. I'll totally turn on a podcast. Or if I'm just like laying in bed doing kind of nothing, I'll turn on a podcast.
Yeah.
And I think
I'll
that's
turn it on in the background while I'm doing research for the podcast.
yeah, for sure.
Or 12 hours in a warehouse, listening to the same couple songs will get
Yeah.
pretty annoying.
Yeah, that'll get to you. But you're a Titans fan, correct?
Yes, sir.
How
All
are you
Tennessee, baby.
how are you feeling?
not, dude. I so in the preseason, Will Levis and Traylon Burks got hurt, and they were out for a week, and that immediately cut all emotional attachment I had. So I was like, "That's the bad omen right there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be another season of injury after injury and after injury." And luckily, that hasn't really been the case.
Mhm.
We've been pretty healthy, still not awful, but we lost to the Saints,
Yeah.
and then I believe we beat the Chargers, and I was like, "All right, back on," and then we lost bad to the Browns.
Yeah.
Awful. And at that point, I was like, "Okay, this team's bad." Now I'm at the point now where I'm like, "All right, I just wanna see how Will Levis does.
Yeah.
Let me see if he can actually be the franchise guy." Because the offensive line is bad. Our pass rush is getting worse.
Mhm.
We traded away Kevin Byard, and that already bad secondary got worse. Our linebackers aren't great. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, all right, I'm tuning in to see what Will Levis does. If we lose, we lose. If we win, we win.
I feel that for sure. And Will Levis has definitely had his he's had his bright spots for sure.
Hmm.
Like he's had games where you're like, oh, maybe he can be like a franchise guy. Like we can
Yeah.
maybe build this on his back. You totally want to see him get another, maybe a higher level receiving option in there,
Hmm.
um, just to see what he can really do. Um,
That's why there's big debate in the Titans fandom right now of losing to possibly get into a position to draft a Marvin Harrison or maybe even Xavier Worthy out of
yeah,
Texas or Keon Coleman, like y'all brought up.
yeah.
Uh, I want, Joe Alt or Fashanu out
Yeah.
of Penn State, however you say his name, but you know,
Yeah, the big in the Commanders fandom at least, we're I think like sixth or seventh pick, which is the highest we'll have picked in a while.
mm,
Probably since we picked two with Chase Young. But the big debate is if we do climb up higher and get to this like 3-4 range, do we want Fashanu or Alt, or do we want Marvin Harrison? And I'm pretty firmly in the camp of like Marvin Harrison, just because Marvin Harrison Jr. of course, and
yeah,
I think we don't have very many separators in the receiving core. Like Terry's very good and Dodson are very good, but they're not great separators. They're more contested catch, big catch radius guys. And
yeah,
I've always preferred to build the offensive line through free agency more so you can get solid, already established guys and you're not taking swings on, offensive tackles coming out of college. I've always thought I'm obviously not running an NFL team, but that has always
yeah.
been my kind of hope.
I can see that. The Titans have had decent luck with offensive linemen outside of Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah.
Ugh. But, we got Taylor Lewan in the draft who turned out to be an all pro before
Hmm.
he blew his knee up.
Yeah.
We got Jack Conklin, who was an all pro, and now we got Skronk, who looks pretty good. But there are teams that, I don't know if y'all had consistent tackle production since you traded away Trent Williams?
No, no, not really. The offensive line has been rough since then, and obviously letting Scherf go didn't help,
The
and
Jaguars.
Cosme,
Thank you, by
yeah,
the way.
yeah, and obviously Cosme hasn't been exactly what we want, but he hasn't been by any means the worst or the biggest problem on that line at all. But ever since we traded Trent Williams, it's not been great. And I always say, whenever you're trading star guys, like I said with Chase Young and Montez Sweat this year, as soon as you trade away Trent Williams, you have to start looking for another Trent Williams. So generally, it's just better to keep him around as long as you reasonably can, right?
Yeah.
That's always been kind of my mindset.
Well, talking about the Titans, I argue the fact that, yeah, AJ Brown leaving, us trading away AJ Brown was bad,
Yeah.
and it set our receiving core back for a little bit. But trading away Jack Conklin because John Robinson refused to pay him is arguably worse because our tackles have been so so bad.
Yeah.
We've had decent receiving threats in terms of, when Kyle Phillips is healthy, when Traylon's healthy. Of course, Robert Woods was awful, but we've had decent receiving threats, but we've had awful, awful tackle play ever since we traded away Jack Conklin.
Yeah. And you've had quarterbacks where it feels like for a while now where they're not going to lose you a game, but they're not really good enough to win you a game either. And you're not
Yeah.
seeing them, at least with your tackle play, they have some sort of pocket presence and are not going to break the sacks taken record like Sam Howell. But would you entertain like a Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix selection if you sit at like 10 on draft day?
No, and that's just because I'm always in the camp of develop your quarterback, and Will Levis has shown me a lot. And
Yep.
Will Levis has shown me that put a decent offensive line ahead of him, he will make things happen. But I was just talking about this on my podcast before you called
Mhm.
in terms of the Bears. You're the Bears and you're sitting at number 1. Is Justin Fields' ceiling high enough to where you could reasonably pass on Caleb Williams or Drake May? And I think that's a real conversation to have. So I'm saying this, but if Drake May falls to 10, where the Titans sit right now, or wherever we end up, I don't know if that'll happen. But will the Titans have the conversation of sitting back and saying, okay, Will Levis showed us this. Is that good enough to say, yeah, Drake May, who has all the signs of being a tremendous starter in the league, can we pass on him? I think it's a conversation to have.
100%, yeah. And especially in Fields's um, freshman year in the NFL, his rookie year, he showed a lot of he had a tough year, but
Yeah.
I also have always been in the camp of you got to let these guys develop. You got to let these guys get adjusted to the NFL game. And what I see a lot with younger quarterbacks that go super high is the team around them isn't built yet, right?
Right.
Like you can take the Bryce Young, but you still have massive holes on the O line, and you still don't have a receiver. So you're making his life tremendously harder than it would be if you waited a year, built up the offensive line, kept DJ Moore, like stuck at 9, and took Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I say, like, maybe somebody will bring up, oh, CJ Stroud should have been picked over Bryce Young
Yeah.
because they put CJ Stroud into the Texans offense, which wasn't a good offense. And then now it's a top 5 offense. And it's like, well, yeah, CJ Stroud still has very good tackle. Laramie Tunsil is decent. The rest of the offensive line is decent. And Take Dell and Nico Collins were good. And everybody was not hyping them, but they said, hey, these guys can be pretty good. And they got Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys,
Yeah.
who was a tight end that shouldn't really be slept on. It's a objectively better team than the Panthers.
Yeah.
So I see why people make that comparison or that statement of, well, the Panthers should have taken CJ Stroud. He's a better quarterback. It's like right now, sure, but you haven't seen Bryce Young in a offense that's competent, if you want to
Yeah.
say.
I mean, everybody's seen the Jonathan Mingo clip from this week where he throws himself out of bounds trying to catch a ball that's just like he
Yeah.
can't decelerate at all. And Young has just been playing with completely inept receiver play for his entire NFL career so far, really. And now he's already got a new head coach. I feel like his life is only getting harder.
Hey, I love it. That was against us, and we
Yeah.
tried to hand them the game. The Titans did everything possible. Did you see this stat? Ryan Stonehouse, our punter, had more net yards than the offense has had, and he's done that like 3 times this season.
It's so
Our
funny,
punters had more yards than the entire offense.
dude. You're running the
It's like,
Iowa offense, man. You've got a gunslinger at quarterback, and you're running the Iowa offense.
That's another question. What's your favorite matchup of this weekend in college football?
Oh, that
Like
is
a
a good question.
like a conference championship where you're looking like, oh, I think Oregon's going to beat Washington.
Oregon Washington is probably the best matchup. I It's gonna be such a good game. I don't feel good picking one or the other. I think Oregon has absolutely looked better in the weeks since they played Washington. But
Hmm.
again, Washington, I think it was you who said it. Washington's defense kind of just shows up when they need to, right?
Hmm.
And I could absolutely see it going either way. Um, I might edge Washington a little just because of the better receivers, and I think they have the slightly better edge threat in Braylon Trice. But
Yeah.
I do think it's anyone's game, really. And it's such a shame. I don't want to be an old man yelling at a cloud, but it's such a shame we're losing the Pac 12 right after the best year of its existence in a while.
Yeah, I was talking with my boy Champ, and yeah, we've had that same sentiment ever since, Florida State killed LSU in the first week.
Yeah.
Colorado was looking great.
Oh, it was
Oregon
fun.
State was great this season. Arizona was a slept-on team that ended up being pretty good. USC ended up being disappointed, but they were still a good team.
Yep.
And then you had Oregon and Washington. It was a great year for the Pac-12, and talk about a swan song, if
Yeah.
you want to say.
Yeah. Other than that though, other than the Pac-12 championship, the ACC championship I think is going to be cooler than most people think
Well, I
because
think that's because no Jordan Travis.
yeah, no Jordan Travis, but that only makes it kind of more competitive, I guess, especially with a
Right.
number 10 Louisville against this Florida State team who's fifth in the country and vying for college football playoff spot. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm super
Yeah.
excited for that one.
I think it's going to be a great game that Florida State pulls out, and it's going to be annoying because all over TikTok and Twitter, when Florida State pulls that game out, you're going to have people saying, "Oh, they don't have Jordan Travis, so do we really want them in the playoffs?" Like, which is so annoying.
Yeah.
I hate that that's the thing around college football. Oh, you had one because I mentioned it when I made a video about it. Could you imagine in 2017 if people were like, "Yeah, the Eagles, Carson Wentz got hurt, so should we really let him into the playoffs?" You know what I mean?
It's Yeah, it's exclusive to just college football where we look at the teams instead of the actual record pretty much. And I mean, if you're just going to lose, if you're just not going to make the playoffs now after going undefeated and winning your championship game just because you lost your quarterback, then kind of what's the point of playing the rest, like the first half of the season, right?
Yeah.
Like these things have to matter. And in Florida State's case, if they do win the championship game, I think they'll have to get in. Just being honest.
If Bama wins the SEC championship and Texas wins the Big 12 championship, and the top three are Michigan, Oregon or Washington, and Florida State, are you putting Texas in over Georgia and Bama?
That's so gross. I think I would put them in over Bama for sure, just because that head to head has to matter, right?
Right.
Like you went into, I don't know if they went into Alabama, but you went to them and you played them head to head and you won. You are the better team. What's
They
like
didn't win, they
again?
killed them.
Yeah,
They killed them.
like again, what's the point of playing these first couple of games and scheduling that against Alabama if it's not going to matter come like college football playoff selection time? But the argument against Georgia gets a lot harder. They I don't have my schedule I don't have their schedule in front of me, but it's obviously an SEC schedule, which is good, which is solid, but they don't
Yeah.
have the Alabama win or some of the wins Texas has. I'm gonna pull it up right
Yeah.
now.
Their biggest wins are over Missouri, Tennessee,
Yeah,
which isn't a great win. Missouri's pretty good.
yeah.
And did they play Ole Miss? I don't think did they play Ole Miss?
Even
I
if they
think they
did play
played
Ole
Ole Miss.
Miss, ah,
not phenomenal. I don't think they have a top 10 win, in which Alabama does, in which, well, Texas used to.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Washington does, Michigan does.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think there's a path for Ohio State? A lot of people want to push Ohio State.
I don't want there to be, quite honestly.
Me neither.
No. Give me one Big Ten. You get one Big Ten. Come on. You're getting
One
greedy.
Big Ten team.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I think there is a path if Georgia wins, Florida State loses, Texas loses, then maybe, but they're still going in with no conference championship, a loss against Michigan. Like, I think there is a path, but I don't think it's one that's super likely, even if everything does fall their way.
Who is Texas playing? Is it?
Oh, it's Oklahoma State, I think.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is actually, is Quinn Ewers back, or is it still the backup?
I think.
I know he was hurt for a
Checking
little
right
bit.
now. I don't know. Well, his backup, I'm pretty sure, is Arch Manning. So that would be electric football. That would be must-see TV.
That'd be
Arch
fun.
Manning making his first start in the Big 12 championship game. But yeah, I think if all the favorites win, I think my playoff ballot looks like Georgia, Michigan. I don't know who's favorited in Washington, Oregon, but the winner of Washington, Oregon, and then probably Florida State because they're -2.5 against Louisville right now. And if they win, I don't see a reason to keep them out. That's like honest and fair to the team, quite honestly.
You are talking about the NCAA though.
Mm,
To be
yeah,
to be completely honest.
the famously
Um.
fair and reasonable NCAA.
Oh my God. So apparently, according to ESPN Analytics, Oregon is favored 75%.
Actually,
I don't know how well you can see that.
my first thought is who is Washington missing? I know a lot of people are down on Washington, but to
Well, I
be
think because
that,
their offense has been kind of shaky. I mean, they put up 35 against Utah,
yeah,
but I mean, barely escaping Washington State, barely escaping Oregon State, in which Oregon just killed Oregon State.
yeah,
Washington had a phenomenal explosive offense that's kind of been stale the
yeah,
past couple weeks, if you want to say that.
yeah.
And Oregon, who do you think's Heisman? That's a question. Jane
Jaden
Daniels, Bo
Daniels.
Nix.
Yeah, no, I think it's Jaden Daniels.
I I could see. I don't think it's as like this is the winner as everybody wants to believe.
Yeah,
Like I think there's a reasonable argument for Bo Nix. Bo
yeah,
Nix is putting up phenomenal numbers,
yeah,
and it's looking like Oregon's going to be in the college football playoffs.
yeah,
I think they beat Washington, but Jane Daniels, 1,000 yards on the ground and what 3K
yeah.
passing.
And so many touchdowns too.
Yeah,
Like that's my. I do think it's not as like my immediate answer was very, oh, it's him and it's no question, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as the snap answer led it to believe. I do think there's absolutely an argument for Bo Nix. I think there's an argument for I think hot take Marvin Harrison Jr. might be in the final like four finalists. Like they had what's his face? Hutchinson the other year.
yeah.
I think
Mhm.
I think he'll be in that boat where like, hey, he was really good, but like, wink, wink, he's not gonna win.
Right. I thought if Brock Bowers stayed healthy and didn't miss a couple weeks, he would have been in the final 3.
I absolutely agree. I love Brock Bowers so much, and
Mhm.
he's another guy I look at and I'm like, hey, Washington, if you're picking at like 7 or 8, wink, wink, Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Um,
I was thinking he'd be a good fit in Cincinnati.
oh, don't give them another receiver. Come on, don't give them another receiving
Well,
threat.
I was thinking that because Cincinnati loves flashy picks. That'd be a flashy pick, and he's a great blocker.
Yeah, and
So
they're gonna have a
you
high enough
can,
pick for it.
yeah,
So
they're at like 5 or 6 right now, right?
yeah, I think so. I don't think they're that low. I think the top 5 right now is the Bears twice, New England, both New Yorks, Washington, Tennessee, I think are all in those like top 7. But
Oh, you know,
when you're starting Jake Browning, you're gonna you're gonna find yourself
gonna
there at
lose some
some point.
games. Yeah. You know, a lot of people are calling for Bill Belichick's head,
That's odd to
and
me.
I think
I
it's
don't know.
somewhat justified, somewhat,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're gonna fire him. I think they're gonna get Drake May, and then I think he'll have 1 more year. I think it's justified just because 'cause he's been really weird the past couple seasons.
Yeah.
He's had reported problems with Robert Kraft in the past, so he doesn't really have a great relationship with the owner. Say, like, everybody's calling for Mike Vrabel's head,
Yeah.
but Mike Vrabel has a great relationship with front office.
Yeah. I don't think Mike Vrabel's the problem in Tennessee either. I don't know if you
No.
agree, but yeah.
Nope.
I said I
I
think
he
in
hmm,
I said I think in my preseason prediction, like, I hate this Titans roster so much, but Mike Vrabel is a really good head coach, and I think he will keep them competitive in a lot of games. And that's
a
still
lot of
kind of where I'm
Titans
standing.
fans Yeah, a lot of Titans fans want to downplay his accomplishments. You do not drag a team like the 2021 Tennessee Titans,
Oh
Derrick
yeah,
Henry hurt, AJ Brown and Julio Jones constantly hurt, the offensive line being shuffled around, injuries all over the defense. You do not drag a team like that to the first seed and not be a good head coach. Titans fans are getting a sour taste in their mouth for Mike Vrabel, and there's a lot of things he does that's annoying, but it is objective that he is a top 10 head coach in the league. It's an objective
absolutely.
fact.
Yeah, I would have to agree there. And yeah, I mean, who? Excuse me. This is a good, um, or well, it looks to be a good, like, new head coach pool kind of season where we might see Ben Johnson leave the Lions. We might see what's his name? The Rams defensive coordinator leave them for a head coaching position. I'm totally escaping. Jim Harbaugh's always there, and
Yeah.
that's always funny to me. I think this year
Well,
it
when
might have the most validity it has in a while, just
yeah.
because now he's beefing with the NCAA, and he might be
Mhm.
like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm gonna go to the NFL.
Yeah, it seems like he's very comfortable in Michigan. Obviously, they love him. He was an alumni.
Yeah,
They pay him very well. But if you look at it, he never accomplished everything in the NFL, but he went there to beat Ohio State. He's now beat them 3 years straight.
yeah,
And if he wins the national championship this year, he will now be a national champion in Michigan.
yeah.
He's won the Big Ten already. Like I said, he's beat Ohio State. He's done everything there. So I think, yeah, just like you, I'm in the boat of where the getting Jim Harbaugh plucked from the college football level is reasonable. But yeah. Do you think there's any chance Lincoln Riley leaves? That's always a rumor.
That's always a rumor too.
When
No,
Jason Garrett was out, I heard him being connected with the Cowboys quite a lot.
yeah, I don't think so. I think we may see a Mike McCarthy firing here. Maybe if not this year, next year, just because of the underperformance in the playoffs. But even still, I don't see a Lincoln Riley. He is losing Caleb Williams though. And Caleb Williams was kind of the guy who he went to USC with. He went to USC with him and he was like, "Hey, come with me, hang out, maybe win a national championship."
Yeah.
And he's going to the
Too bad
NFL
he
now,
cannot.
so I could see a NFL return, not return, but you know what I'm saying, for Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. If only we could get a Lincoln Riley team with a defense on the field.
That'd be cool. That'd be fun. But
In
it's at the same time it is his job to recruit the players. So
in the Commanders boat, are you in the boat of Ron Rivera leaving and EB getting promoted to head coach?
that's that's a two-parter, I think. Ron Rivera leaving, yes. I like Ron Rivera very much as a person. I think he is a good guy, and I
Mhm.
think the locker room likes him. But as a coach, I don't think it's working out, and it is time that we part ways. In terms of Eric Bieniemy taking over, if you would have asked me this at the beginning of the season, I would have said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." You know, get Eric Bieniemy in the head coaching spot in Washington right now. But we
Yeah.
sit here 12-ish games into the season, and I'm a little more hesitant to say that because I haven't liked a ton of the offensive play calling. Obviously, Howell is passing for the most yards in the league, but he's also passing. I think he has the most attempts in the league as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know how legit his offense is. And, we did just fire our defensive coordinator, so we have to bring him in. Do we want a new defensive coordinator as well as an offensive minded head coach? Like, I feel like if we bring him in now, the new defensive coordinator, we're not going to be able to build up the defense I think we can have with the talent there. I think Jonathan Allen might be gone after this year, which is sad
Yeah.
because I really like him, but he seems so fed up, and I don't really blame him. But
No.
I don't think it should be automatically Eric Bieniemy is the head coach. I think we should look around, survey our options, and just kind of take a peek at the landscape.
It shocks me how much y'all pass the ball because obviously Eric Bieniemy is coming from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs don't really have a phenomenal run game. I mean, when he was there, Isaiah Pacheco was fine, Jerick
Yeah.
McKinnon is fine, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there.
Yeah.
But Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson is a great backfield to have.
It's
So,
really it's versatile too because you get something completely different out of both of those guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brian Robinson has been phenomenal for my
I'm super
fantasy
happy
team.
with him. And especially I liked him coming out of the draft and then he had the whole like 50 Cent incident
Yeah.
and now he's been balling. He's on I think both my fantasy teams and he's balling. I love to see him happy. I do hate Antonio Gibson.
Mhm.
I have seen him fumble away so many. I made a TikTok on my personal account a little while back. It was just call me Antonio Gibson the way I be fumbling, and I think that sums it up pretty well because I've seen
Yeah.
him fumble away like in the red zone so many like important drives or important games. Whereas at this point I'm like, let somebody else do this, let somebody else pay him a little extra,
Right.
and get a guy in the draft who can receive and do kind of the same things he does in the later rounds. And it always makes me laugh. It makes me laugh so hard every year when fantasy football people are like, this RB24 could have the potential to win you your league, and it's Antonio Gibson. I'm like, he's not that good. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
I cannot tell you how many times I've seen something like last year I made a video because someone said that Jameis Winston is the next Peyton Manning last
That's
year,
so
not
funny.
when he got drafted, last year. And I looked at their profile name and it was like, "Oh, fantasy football." Yeah, I was like, "All right,
Like, okay,
there
yeah.
you go."
No, that makes sense actually. That checks out. Yeah. But
What's
believe it
been
or
the
not,
biggest
sorry?
what's been the biggest disappointment about the Commanders? For me, for the Titans, it's been Chigakonkwo.
Chicago? Not is Austin Hooper still there?
No,
Ah,
our
that's who
our
I think
tight end
of.
room, yeah, our tight end room now is Chigakonkwo, Josh Wiley, and one more guy. Josh Wiley has been fine for the snaps he's played. He's the tight end we got in like the fourth, fifth round of the draft.
Mm,
But Chigakonkwo was phenomenal for the touches he got last season, and he was getting into that starter role. And I was like, the rest of the offense is going to suck,
yeah.
but Chigakonkwo is going to be good, and he just drops everything. He drops everything. It's so annoying.
Yeah. For me, probably my biggest disappointment was probably either Jahan Dotson's usage, because he had a good year last year. He had a lot of touchdowns. We went to him a lot in the red zone, and it was effective. And I have his jersey somewhere in here. I don't know if I have it on me right now, but I have his jersey in here somewhere because I promised myself I would get the jersey of the first Commanders draft pick, and he was the first.
Yeah.
But I have been disappointed with his usage a little because I do think he's very talented, and on the defensive side of the ball, uh, probably there's a lot. There's Emmanuel Forbes, just in general. There's trading away Young and Sweat, both. And then there's just the linebacking core where Jamin Davis hasn't really he's had big moments. He had a big moment in the Falcons game, I'm pretty sure, where he broke up a pass that would have gotten a late first down for them. But overall, he hasn't been as consistent as I wanted to see from him. And that's pretty much it. A lot of people think we say we need hope in the secondary. I think that's kind of true, but I'm kind of happy with our safeties. I think Cam Curl is really good. St. Just doesn't really do it for me. Forbes doesn't really do it for me. So a boundary corner for sure I think we could use, but in Cam Curl I think locks down the safety position. But it's been a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, on our defense, the pass rush has been the pass rush. When it's on, it's one of the best D lines in the game.
Yep.
Our linebackers, we traded David Long to the Dolphins, and it just has not been the same.
No.
Our secondary, I love Amani Hooker, but we traded Kevin Byard, and it's just been shaky. I mean, Terrell Edmonds is back there.
Yep.
In terms of corners, I cannot tell you we drafted a corner that has stayed healthy. Roger McCreary has been fine.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Murphy Bunting, when he's on the field, has been pretty good for us. Christian Fulton has, like, a game every now and again where you're like, "Oh, that's why we drafted you." But the rest, it's like, "Get this dude off the field for the love of God." And we drafted Caleb Farley, and he's maybe played 3 games
Yeah.
for us.
Virginia Tech. Shout out though. Tyler's a big Virginia Tech guy. So go
Shout out
Hokies.
to Hokies, yeah. Hokies,
I
whatever.
say it whenever I say go Terps whenever my Terrapins have a guy like DJ Moore. I'll say go Terps. Deontay Banks has had a pretty good year. And
I'll
then with
say
yeah,
I'll say upcoming in the draft, you said you want kind of like a receiving back,
yeah,
maybe. There's a couple out of Tennessee that I think are declaring that, Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, and there's always one I forget. Those would be nice little pieces for y'all.
for
I'm not big
sure.
on I don't know if there's any like phenomenal running back talent coming out of the draft
Yeah.
or coming out of college this year, but there could be a couple little sneaky ones.
No, there's certainly no like Bijan. There's no ET. I don't think we're gonna have the debate this year. Thank God about drafting a running back in the first round because I don't think any of them are really first round like talents. I like Corum a lot personally, a lot more than
Blake Corum.
yeah, a lot more than Travion Henderson, who people seem to like. But I'm a big Corum truther. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't
I
think
can
either
see
of
that.
them are really first round talents.
Oh, I said that when it comes to JJ McCarthy, people are hyping up JJ
Oh,
McCarthy.
McCarthy, yeah,
And I was like, JJ sounds like the quarterback that the Patriots would draft. Be like the Giants drafting
so
Daniel Jones a
true.
couple of years ago.
That's so true, dude. I had. Have you seen uh Bengal?
Yeah.
Have you seen his reaction to the Daniel Jones bit from like
Mhm.
forever ago? I had the
Yeah.
same reaction when we took Forbes this year. One pick before my CB1 Gonzalez went. That was disgusting. I was sick to my stomach.
Dude, I everybody was pressuring the Titans to draft a receiver this year,
Yeah.
and there was a couple, Jalen Hyatt just had that big game. He was
Hmm.
available. Cedric Tillman was available. Josh Downs. Of course, Jonathan Mingo, is going to be infamous for that play
Yeah.
until he's not. But we didn't until we drafted Colton Dowell in the 6th round, and I cannot tell you, after we drafted Will Levis, the amount of times our pick was called or we picked a player and it wasn't a receiver, I just started bashing my head until whatever was close to me.
Dude, I
Of
knew.
course, we got Tajay, which Tajay has been fine,
Yeah.
but, you know,
Yeah, I knew going in we were probably not taking a quarterback just based off where we were. Cause excuse me. Just because we knew Stroud and Richardson and Young were going to go at the top, and Levis was probably going to go before our pick too. And we were picking at like 16, so I was like, we're probably not getting a quarterback. But our next biggest need is either offensive line, which I didn't love the offensive line class, or the corner, which was a class I really liked. And I was like, okay, closer it got, I was like, the big storyline from around that stretch was, oh my God, why hasn't anyone picked Christian Gonzalez yet? And I saw it
Yeah.
creeping closer, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to get Christian Gonzalez, and he's so good. And then Emmanuel Forbes came onto my screen, and I was so angry, dude. And then I was like, oh God, who's up next? And they said, the Patriots are up next. And I was like, God, we let Bill get Christian Gonzalez. How did we do
Yeah.
this? Come on,
By the
Ron.
way, Bill is hilarious for that. I loved that he traded away his pick right before the Jets just because he knew the Jets wanted Broderick Jones
That's so
and the Steelers. I thought he was so hilarious for that. But yeah, passing on Christian Gonzalez, who, I believe, I don't know if he's back in yet. I know he was hurt
I
for a little
think
bit, but
I think he may be out for the year. He had a pretty serious injury.
yeah, but when he was on the field, he was the best corner of the draft class.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
Devin Witherspoon for the Seahawks is looking phenomenal,
Yeah,
but Christian Gonzalez was better, in my opinion.
100%. And I thought Go Terps Deontay Banks has had a pretty good year for the Giants. Not exceptional,
Hmm.
but he's been pretty much what you want out of a rookie corner you took in the mid 20s. I've
Right.
been really happy with how he's been playing. And then me and Patrick No Huddle talked about the Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks train we were both on, just because we both loved like physical freak corners and how they've
Yeah.
both been playing pretty solid this year, and we feel vindicated. But Emmanuel Forbes has been benched in multiple games due to just not being able to play, and I do think part of that's on the coaching staff. Because if you look at Emmanuel Forbes and you look at like AJ Brown or DJ Moore, you can see, hey, maybe let's not do that. But
Did we
we
just
went
not?
ahead and did it anyway. Didn't he's like 180 pounds soaking wet, and you put him against the physical freak of AJ Brown, bad things are gonna happen. Sorry, but
Dude, I don't know
yeah,
if you've ever had a game where you've just cried while watching it. When we played the Eagles last season, I was in tears for most of the game, and then AJ completely ran over Christian Fulton. I don't know if you remember that
I
play.
don't.
It gets played often. He literally Christian Fulton tries to press him, and AJ just runs right through him and catches a touchdown. And I'm like, okay, he deserves that. I'm gonna go do something better with my life right now.
I got pretty close watching DJ Moore torch Forbes on prime time. I think it was like Tuesday. I think it was like Thursday or Monday Night Football, and everyone was watching, and everyone was like, "Oh, DJ Moore's doing so good," and in the back of my head, I'm like, "Emmanuel, Emmanuel Forbes is so ass.
Please do something.
Please do something. Put him in the slot or something. I don't know."
Dude, it was the or not the playoff game, it was the game where if the Titans won, they'd be in the playoffs against the Jaguars last season. Josh Dobbs starting, and Josh Allen ran over, um, God, I've completely deleted this guy's name out of my brain because I hated him so much, but he just plowed through him every single play to kill Josh Dobbs, and I was like, "Do something. Bring someone in there, please."
Please. Yeah,
Yo, I gotta get the charger for my laptop, so I'll be right back.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm gonna go refill my water too.
Alright. Fat ass. How y'all doing?
Every time I get my stream set up, I'm so proud of myself. Just because peep this really quick. I don't know if you can see me, but stream will be able to. My lighting is really bad in my room, just because like I don't have a ring light or anything. I just have these lamps that have bulbs that need replacing. But there's a
Yeah.
TV right behind uh my monitor, and I found out that if you go on YouTube and search white screen, that it gives pretty good lighting. And I'm really happy. I'm like, I'm a genius. Every time I turn it on, I'm like, ah, you did it again.
I will say I've not been able to see you this entire time.
Actually, am I still loading, bro?
Yeah.
Bro.
I apologize. Because I just checked the stream on your channel. And I was
This is
like,
a
oh,
little
his
better.
camera is
Okay.
on. There you go.
This isn't my
There's your pretty face.
this is my webcam. I don't know why my webcam is being difficult right now. But yeah, this is just the computer one. I got my Iron Sheik shirt on. Hell yeah.
Nice. What'd you think of what just passed?
Survivor Series?
Survivor Series, yeah. What'd you think of
Was
Survivor Series?
pretty solid. I think a lot of people are overhyping it a little because of the returns. But outside the two War Games matches, which were pretty good, I didn't think it had really much to offer at all. Gunther versus Miz was okay, which is really bad for a guy as good as Gunther. Um, Zoe Stark versus Rhea. I love Rhea, but she's not had a really exceptional match in her title reign so far. And then Dragon Lee I like, but him and Santos Escobar didn't really have a great match either. So outside of those two
Yeah.
and outside the returns, I thought it was pretty mid.
I told you I have a weird relationship with wrestling.
Yeah.
That relationship is, for me, a average wrestling match is boring.
Yeah.
If
I feel
if I
that.
were talking with you and you're like, "Hey man, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins had this amazing match on pay-per-view." I'd be like, "All right, I'll go watch it."
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll ever watch a full wrestling show again.
I can see that. This past WWE's catching a lot of flack because this past Raw had like a ton of people tuned in because it was Randy Orton's first time back, and obviously CM Punk was going to talk in his first time
Yeah.
back, and it was so bad. It was so terrible. Somebody on Twitter posted like, if it's CM Punk you want to see, you have to sit through my Shitters 3. And that was really what it was. It was like a terrible women's tag title match, which the women's tag division's really bad right now. It was a pretty good like tag team gauntlet match where the Creed brothers really shined. Um, and then outside of that, I don't even know if I could. It was like Bronson Reed versus Ivar. Um, Randy Orton made his re-debut against Dominic Mysterio, and like outside,
Shout
it
out my
just was
boy
not.
Jelly Roll.
I saw him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You saw the I don't know if you saw it. Randy Orton like dabbed him up during the match, and he was like, "Damn, you smell like weed, bruh." Like the same thing
Yeah,
Roman
man.
did at that house show like a year ago.
I didn't even
I
know it
thought
was
that
in
was funny.
Nashville. I
Yeah,
didn't even know it was in Nashville, and then I watched CM Punk's promo.
yeah,
He was like, "Oh yeah, Blackhawks fans standing in the Predators arena," which unfortunate name.
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh shit, that's at Bridgestone."
yeah.
And then I saw Jelly Roll, and I was like, "Ah,
Oh, oh, damn. Yeah, DC doesn't have any cool sports fans. Unfortunately, if you ask somebody on the street who's DC's biggest sports fan, it's almost always the answer is almost always Mia Khalifa, which is super unfortunate. But it's
very."
dude, she's the most high profile one, and I'm like, come on. I think
I mean,
like
our most high profile one is Tim McGraw, which honestly isn't that much better.
I'm not a big country music guy, but I I don't even know if he's country music, but his name is Tim McGraw, so I made kind of an educated assumption.
Yeah, if you'll know him, big black cowboy hat,
Yeah.
big ass guitar. Do you listen to Jelly Roll? When I said Jelly Roll, you seemed like you knew who I
I
was
have
talking about.
seen his like work. I'm not super familiar. Like I don't think I've ever heard a full album, but I've heard songs here or there. I don't know if I can tell you the names of any, but I've definitely heard him before.
Well, I'm not a big country guy,
Yeah.
but I do listen to some country music. So if you ever say like, "Yo, Jack, I wanna get into some country music,"
Yeah.
I'll hook you up with some. That's
Have
not, I'm sitting in the
sitting
park
in my
with my
truck.
truck.
No, Tyler's a big country music guy. He's a big Morgan Wallen guy, and I'm like, come on, dude. There's
Mm,
got to be something better than this. Like,
there is.
I'm really a lot of the mainstream country. I'm just like, and my favorite genre is rap, so I feel stupid saying it, but a lot of the mainstream rap also gets like a bad reputation. But if you
Yeah.
just dig a little below the surface, it's all there for you to like love and explore. It just takes that extra little, I guess, effort, you know.
Yeah, it annoys me when you go up to, like, country music fans and you start talking about rap. They're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, isn't rap just about drugs and sex?" It's like,
they're
"Well, yeah,
still
well,
talking
country
about Lil
music."
Pup.
Yeah,
They haven't
and
stopped.
it's like, dude, country music is about beer and little towns.
Hell
That's
yeah.
it.
What's better
So,
than
just
that?
hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. No, yeah, it's truthfully, I'm sure this it's the same with country music, but it does take uh I have the same opinion with rap as I do with like professional wrestling. Loki is that it kind of has something for everyone. You
Right?
just have to kind of look a little bit. Like I think there are country fans who would enjoy some rappers, and I think there are Brock fans who would enjoy some rappers.
That's not Tom McDonald.
It's not Tom McDonald. No, they enjoy him for other reasons. But
No, I think rap opens itself up, and country music is starting to do this a little bit, and some other forms, but rap really opens itself up to incorporate everything
yeah,
into a beat
absolutely.
or whatever.
Yeah,
And that's what I love about rap. Like some of my favorite rappers right now are guys like Denzel Curry
Denzel Curry.
or
Yeah,
Tyler,
yeah,
Tyler the Creator.
for sure.
I listen to a lot. Of course, I told you Star-Lord, who you had no idea, but a lot of those guys incorporate so much into yeah, that's what I like about rap.
Yeah, I think rap is definitely the most open to change and kind of fluidity, especially with the what's the word? Prominence of samples now, especially you can see so many different sounds incorporated. And I've been on the Denzel Curry bandwagon since like Imperial. And even
Yeah,
since then, he's done so many different things in just this one artist, in just these like 8, 10 years, where every album does sound different, and every song on the same albums can sound sonically and switch between genres really well. Because I feel like rap can incorporate rock really well, it can incorporate some country really well, pop, absolutely. Like, excuse me, there's just so much room to incorporate in rap, I guess.
yeah. My Denzel Curry got me hooked with ULT,
Oh, for
and
sure.
then the most unskippable song in my playlist right now is "Walkin'." I have
Oh,
to
I love that
listen to that
song. That's
all
a
the
good
way
album.
through.
People sleep on that album. I think no, that's not the right album. But that was one of my favorite albums from last year, along with my new favorite band as of last year, Black Country New Road, released a really
Mhm.
good album. But that I think was my favorite rap album of last year. And people sleep on God, I have to look it up now. Um Zoo I thought was really good and people slept on it. From
Zoo?
2019 with like Ricky and I'm
I
looking at
love
the track
Ricky.
list. Ricky and Wish. Wish Shake 88. It's hard. Like I love all
What
that
was that
music.
album What was that album he did with believe it was Kenny Beats that came out after
Oh,
Zoo
that was
and
God,
before?
I know that. Unlocked, which was really good too.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
really good album.
was awesome.
It seems like Denzel Curry is slowly gaining more traction, more notoriety,
Yeah.
but he's still severely slept on. It's like Jid.
He used
It's
to
like
be the
Jid.
guy. Sorry, you say Jid?
I said it's like Jid.
Oh, I
Like
love Jid.
Jid is slowly becoming more mainstream, but
Yeah.
he is still slept on for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Him and JID were kind of the they kind of had the conversation of if everybody's saying they're underrated, are they really underrated? Where everyone was like, dude, the
Yeah.
two most underrated rappers in the game right now, Denzel Curry, JID, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah, Jid I love so much. He was my other favorite my second or third favorite rap album from last year was the Forever Story. And
The Forever Story was my favorite album that's come out in a while. I love
that's
that
real.
album.
That's so it's easy to see why. And all of my under like I've been on Jid for a while and I've been on Denzel Curry for a while, and it's all because I have one friend who listens to all underground hip hop, and he's like, "Bro, you gotta check this guy out." And I checked out Jid. I was
Yeah.
like, "I love this guy," and now he's popular. I'm like, "Hey, I knew this."
I
It's
will
awesome.
admit I listened to 151 Rum
Yeah.
and I didn't get it at first.
Hmm.
And then I went back to it. And then I went back to it and I was like, okay, if I'm going back to it enough, that means I kind of like it.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and then I got into working out. Cody Blue is phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
Swing on, swing on. I
Oh,
love that song
beautiful.
so
Yeah.
much.
All right,
Yeah.
but we've been sitting here for almost an hour now, and Leonard Taylor has not popped up on the screen even
I
once.
apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. Let me switch. There we go. Let me share my screen. Media player, all that. Can you see everything?
I can.
All right, awesome. So you're gonna see the yellow arrow pointing to him every time, and if you want me to stop, if you want me to rewind, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy
Of
to.
course.
But let's commence.
All right.
Yeah.
That arrow was pointing to him, right?
Yeah, the arrow points to Leonard Taylor.
Okay. Honestly, I would like him to be a little quicker on that stunt. Seemed
Yeah,
like he was hesitating a little bit, but from everything I see, he's got phenomenal footwork.
yeah,
So that shouldn't really be big issue. But one thing to point out,
yeah,
and that one he just gets blocked out of the play, but
yeah.
that was a play. That wasn't really him.
No. Yeah, and you see they're double teaming him pretty often, which we
Yeah.
talked with.
But
Yeah,
he shoved that center and guard. He got a
he
pretty
handled
good push to where
himself
that running
for
back,
sure.
yeah, that running back was going nowhere if, the quarterback just made a good play.
Yeah,
Okay, if you want to pause it real quick.
yeah, I got you.
My biggest issue with him, wait, let it play for a second
Yeah,
and then pause it as
he's
soon as the ball
right
snapped.
here, I believe.
Yeah, he's in the middle.
Yeah,
My issue is he is standing up.
yeah,
He is standing straight up.
yeah,
And I was watching a little bit when we talked about that we would do Leonard Taylor. And, football is all about leverage
hmm,
and especially on the offensive line.
yeah,
And he seems to have this tendency where he stands straight up. In college, he has the strength to bully a lot of guards and centers.
hmm,
So in college, it's not a big deal. But in the NFL, you have to get low. If you're going to stand straight up, whether it's Frank Ragnow, whether
yeah,
it's Jason Kelsey, if you're on the guard and it's, say, Quentin Nelson or Brandon Sheriff or any of those guys, you will get driven back.
yeah,
So now he's fast enough, and it seems like that he does come off low
yeah.
a lot, but it's just times like this to where he is going to get laid out. And yeah, that is my big criticism of him when I watch him is he stands straight up.
For sure. I'm trying to find his like height, weight, all that. Give me a second.
Oh, he's big. I believe he's around 6'4" and in the higher 200s.
Yeah. Oh my god. He's about
Was the count
six.
on?
He's 6'3", 305. Oh
Okay,
my.
that's a big
That's
boy.
a big dude.
He
But
does
that's
not look that
no, he
big, and I think
doesn't.
that it looks like most of that weight is in his hips and legs,
Yeah.
which means that he's going to be a phenomenal athlete, in which he's shown that.
Yeah.
So,
Alright. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we talked about this. I talked about that same idea of just standing straight up with Chop Robinson when we watched him on the film room a little while ago, where
Yeah.
he kind of has the opposite problem of he sometimes doesn't get high up enough and he'll make contact a little low and centers can just kind of like pound
Yeah,
him down, right?
definitely.
That's that's a problem for him at times, but they do seem to be similar in the way they have really quick get off and they can make contact really quickly.
Yeah. Now he's on the tack. No, he's
Yeah.
still on the guard. He has a very, very quick get off,
Yeah.
which I love. If you want to pause it real quick.
Gotcha.
That's that's the biggest pro with him
Hmm.
is he gets off the ball very quickly. That's what I was saying. If he finds that sweet spot, in which you want your helmet pretty much level with the lineman's shoulder pads, like his chest.
Hmm.
He's low enough. His dip. What it, I forgot the terminology of it. You got swim. I call it dip,
Rip.
but um, you rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful rip move if he gets off the ball fast enough,
Yeah.
and he he beats everybody when he does get low enough.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of this, it looks like he's just not like he can power his way through there, but he doesn't always do that. It seems like in the league, he might want to be more of a finesse guy,
Yeah.
with his speed
Yeah.
and with that athletic ability that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Um, if he tries to just go power, it seems like he's going to get washed out of the play every time.
Yeah. It does seem like that so far, especially we saw on the goal line stuff
Hmm.
where you are looking for more power. We talked about this on the last one where we talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. and the concept still applies. Pat brought up the concept of you can tell a lot about a player not just by how they're playing, but by how the other teams treat them. And
Yeah,
Marvin Harrison Jr., you would always see two corners or like an extra DB on his side of the field. And when I see Leonard Taylor getting doubled like he was at the goal line, not right here, but I'm sure we'll see it more, that shows me,
yeah,
oh, okay, opposing offenses and opposing offensive coordinators really respect what he's able to do. So even if he's not
absolutely.
producing a ton in this game, it's probably because the offense has spent a lot of time figuring out how to slow specifically him down.
Yeah. And obviously, I want to point this out. I'm talking about power and his power. He has good enough power where he's not going to get driven completely off the ball,
Yeah.
but it's just it seems like he wants to be a little bit more of a finesse guy rather than a power guy. He can drive guards and centers back, but I don't know how well he'll be able to do that
Yeah.
in the league.
Yeah, how consistently or effectively in the league. Jason Newton, from what have seen already, seems to be a pretty big power guy. So that might be where these two split, where it's not a matter of, oh, who's better, more of a, well, what do you want out of an interior defensive lineman this year?
Right.
That could be an interesting conversation. It's,
He's definitely not a Jalen Carter for
no.
sure.
Who is, really?
Fair. He slaughters that tackle right
Yeah,
there.
he was
That
not ready
tackle
for that.
really relied on that guard. I love the quick hands right there.
Hmm.
Again, with the standing
Very
up, I
reliable.
really don't like, but he slaughtered that tackle.
Absolutely. I was a little surprised to see him going to the tackle, just because of where he lined up, but
Yeah,
uh, he really handled that. Like that,
yeah.
he was not ready for that, and he was
I
able to
like that.
take advantage.
Yeah, I like that Miami seems to love him moving around the defensive line, kind of like, of course, the easy example is Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
You see Aaron Donald lining up everywhere from, nose up on the center to outside shoulder of the guard.
yeah,
And I think being that versatile lends yourself to, being more
It's
valuable,
going to keep you
obviously.
on defenses for sure. It's going to keep you on the field, and you're gonna you're gonna make a lot of money being able to do different
Yeah.
things.
See, right there, he stands up
Yeah,
and he gets stood up by that guard, and he ended up not being able to do anything
yeah,
because
he
he's
just got right
standing
up.
straight up.
You're exactly
Yeah.
right.
If he got lower and right into that inside shoulder, he makes the play.
Yeah,
But since he got too high, he got washed out.
yeah, yeah.
Like I said, watching this, that's really my biggest gripe. Other than that, his hands seem to be great. Right
Oh, you
there,
saw that?
phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
Phenomenal. Sheds the center like smooth
He just kind of
snake
moved.
skin.
Like there wasn't even really a huge move there. He just kind of moves
No,
him to the side.
he puts his hands in his chest and then just washes. That center gets just demolished, and
Yeah,
you love to see that. You
yeah.
love to see that.
And Harry's more on the nose of the center there, and he's able to
He
kind of
got
hand fight himself away.
yeah.
It looks like.
He definitely uses the rest. Yeah, he definitely uses kind of a pick
Yeah,
from the defensive line that's
yeah,
next to him, but that shows intelligence,
yeah.
teamwork, chemistry.
There's a stunt there. That was pretty quick for a guy his
Yeah, yeah,
size.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my.
Yeah, that first one, we said that he was a little slow. That one, just he
Yeah,
saw
and
it, he
like
saw the gap, and he attacked it.
yeah, and a lot of like interior offensive linemen just aren't going to be able to keep up with that. A,
Yeah,
his speed to register that, like what was happening, and B, his ability to actually make something happen.
yeah. Swam over the centers. That was great.
Yeah.
One of the things, and you can pause it.
Hmm.
One of the gripes I hear about him is effort. Seems like he doesn't have a lot of effort on plays.
Yep.
This is the effort I want to see 10 times out of 10. He spins off the guard and
Hmm.
then gets head up with the center and immediately sheds him.
Yep.
Fights through 2 blocks and I believe almost makes the play. I love that
He
effort.
definitely gets a pressure. And I saw with Chop Robinson, kind of the second wind wasn't really there. Like if his first move didn't really work, then he was just kind of out of the play. Where
Yeah.
you see Leonard Taylor fail his first move, but then be able to recover, have a backup plan, and still be able to make the quarterback's life more uncomfortable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Miami had so much potential this year.
Yeah, they do. Don't they every year though? Like, oh, that was
Yeah.
nice.
Oh my god, dude.
Wow.
Okay.
I do want to
Yeah,
watch him. Where
that
is he? I'm
was
trying to locate him. Ain't
he's
he
right
right?
here on the no, no, he's on the other side, I think.
He's right here. Okay. Yeah, 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 okay.
Yeah, and you know, that is a little higher you wanna be,
Yeah.
but he is just so
Eyes are in the
fast off the
backfield.
ball. Yeah, he's so fast off the ball that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The the center is supposed to come down, the center is coming down as hard as he possibly can,
Yeah.
and he's just not quick enough to pick him
And I
up,
think he's
and
just
Leonard
gonna be able
Taylor.
to kind of rip this arm off here
Yeah,
and just get to him. Yeah, it just he doesn't
yeah.
even not even
He fights
really able
off
to make a
he
play
fights
there.
off the guard, and the center just is not fast enough to get to him.
Yeah.
Again, right there, same exact thing happened. He's so quick that that guard panics.
Yeah.
Doesn't get down hard enough and just can't keep up with him. And he's on the center, little
Yeah.
stunt again, and just can't fight off the guard. But,
Yeah.
you win
That's
some, you lose
again kind
some.
of the second effort that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Of hey, he gets beat here and then still tries a
And that
move
was
on the guard.
yeah, and that was just a great, play by the guard.
Yeah. There he's doubled, it looks like.
Yeah. Looks like he got stood up again,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, pretty much.
he is getting doubled. And again, we're talking about effort. If you want to rewind it a little bit,
For sure, for
he's
sure.
fighting. he's fighting the entire play. If you
Yeah.
see him, he's fighting with that center, and then that guard tries to come get him, and he almost gets through. I said he got stood up. When you look at it right here,
Not
he's
really.
fighting with that center, and then
Still
he gets
pushing
through.
guys back. Like
Yeah,
he's still collapsing that pocket.
if that quarterback holds the ball for another second, that's a sack. Great play, driving the guard.
Yeah.
Of course, you want to see him, shed the block, but driving the guard backwards, the running back needs to, step out a little bit to not run
He
into the
needs to
guard.
adjust course a little, which slows him down.
Yeah.
And that was just great by.
Now, I don't know, watching this, I don't know how confident I am he's one-on-one.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of his wins are coming with guards and tackles having to move, and he's just too quick for them to pick him up.
Yeah.
When he's one-on-one, it seems like he's losing a lot more than he's winning, but obviously this is one game.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the entirety of it, but
Yeah.
but when you do play the interior, you're gonna face a lot of double teams. So
Yeah, he just kind of took that tackle for
where is he right here?
I'll point him out.
He demolished that. Yeah, he demolished that tackle. And there's not really, you're on the weak side. I'm not expecting you to make that play, but
just
showing me that you
like,
can
club move, he kind of is able to swim over and
yeah. But again, head up on the guard. Yeah. You're getting stood up. It shakes my confidence when it comes to one-on-ones.
Yeah.
A little bit of a double right there. The center was just kind of playing lookout, see which guard needed the help.
Yeah. That was a great play. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
you love to see that. Completely
throw him,
stunned that center.
Entirely.
And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can see that was pure power. That wasn't finesse. Yeah. That wasn't speed. That was hands.
I want you to go over here now. So
yes.
I'm just going to put you over there, get in this lane.
And just make the play.
Yeah.
That's damn near a perfect play.
Yeah.
And on the center, gets past him, demolishes a double team.
Yeah.
Demolishes the double team. So yeah, he's lined up on the center, goes to that guard, and just, got a little help from the linebacker.
For sure.
But he still beat both of them.
Yeah. And part of the reason I think he is able to beat these double teams is kind of the speed. Oh, he just pushed him back. Is kind of the speed and explosiveness of being able to kind of snap a finger and just explode through a gap. Watch this. Yeah. He's right here. And he just moves that center back pretty well. He doesn't get a sack, he doesn't get by him, but he does make that pocket smaller and get in the QB's face.
Absolutely. Again, held his own for a little bit right there. Yeah. Quarterback, in my opinion, holds the ball a little too long, and that's why he ends up getting the pressure.
Yeah.
But he is fighting and fighting and fighting, and you love to see that.
Yeah, and he didn't get off as quick as you usually see him either. He felt a little late to that.
Drives the center back, gets in the running back's face. Again, drives him back and then just rips off of him.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I like interior defensive linemen a little more sometimes. Just because sometimes in especially the Big 12, you see really talented edge rushers like Will McDonald last year, playing either 3-tech or sometimes in coverage with Jalen Phillips in Miami. And I'm like, what are we doing? Come on.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that demolishes the guard yet again. Got a little help from the edge, number 44, kind of pushing him a little bit, but he would have demolished that guard anyways. Again, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. But they'll play him outside or they'll drop him back into coverage. And I'm like, what are we doing? Come on.
Yeah. Again, he stood up right there and driven back. You don't like to see that, but he did make the effort to run over,
only
try to play cleanup.
3 down there, and he still is able to get some pushback.
Mm-hmm.
attacks that right guard.
moving that guard.
Yeah,
Obviously, guard ends up winning, anchors and just, stands them up.
yeah,
But yeah, the cons are the same ones we just keep talking about.
yeah,
Leverage, and like I said, one-on-ones, it's really almost 50-50 whether or not he's gonna win that. He really seems to rely on the rest of the defensive line or a blitzing linebacker when it
yeah,
comes to one-on-ones in winning those.
yeah. And
But
in the one-on-ones, he's not winning. Even when he does win, he's not winning super quick,
yeah,
which gives the quarterback time to react.
yeah, but when he is doubled and when he does get off and does get low, he can demolish anybody. And
That's
we've
true.
seen even those tackles, he's had his way with those tackles several times. So it's not like he's completely incompetent when it comes to one-on-ones,
Yeah,
but he does lose more than he wins, what it
yeah.
seems like.
He does at some points. He does seem like kind of a mismatch on tackles when he lines up more over the outside shoulder of the guard and he goes after a tackle. They seem really just unprepared for him. That was ooh. He gets the pass off, obviously. He got into that backfield quick.
Mhm.
Lines up over the center. That was a good wrap.
I think just the consistency. If he can play consistently like several of the plays that we've seen,
Yeah.
he will be a game wrecker. And
For sure.
obviously, shades of what we have in Tennessee with Jeffrey Simmons.
Hmm.
Obviously, Jeffrey Simmons is a lot more power, but he can be a game wrecker. And he's shown multiple times in this game that he can throw guys around and he can just get past guys. It's just consistently doing that
100%.
is
Yeah.
an issue that I see. They were harassing this quarterback this game, wasn't
Yeah.
they?
He's not having a good time. And he's still playing pretty well. Like, they're still putting up points.
Blitz just got to him that time.
Yeah.
All right, so he's on the center.
That's a second effort.
He oh yeah. He kinda
That's a great
hesitates a
flip by,
little
I think,
bit on the
Cam
guard.
Kitchens. But yeah, he's over the center.
Yeah, he gets on that guard and is just fighting and fighting and fighting and then sheds him,
Was that Cam Kitchens?
gets pressure on that quarterback.
Cam Kitchens is on my list for guys I really want to watch. But that is the end of the Leonard Taylor tape that we have prepared today. So overall, what are we thinking? How do we feel about Leonard Taylor?
So he's getting hyped up as, the second or third defensive lineman in this class, and
Mm,
I think he absolutely deserves it
yeah.
as we he does have a little bit of a hybrid kind of defensive tackle.
Yep.
He's not the big boy that's gonna clog the middle,
Yep.
but he's also not the, like, real quick get by you. He's a
He's
little
not
bit of
Kalijah Chansey.
no,
Yeah.
but, he seems to struggle with one-on-ones until a little help can arrive, but he does show signs of being powerful enough to throw guards around and
Yep.
tackle, and he is quick enough to where if you have, a run or a pass where you're kinda shifting the line and each guy is just kinda slanting
Yeah.
to, you know, whatever, it seems like he's gonna win those 10 times out of 10. And obviously, as I kept pointing out, I don't like how much he stands up.
Yeah.
Seems like he get washed out and thrown on his back a lot in the league.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I think he's a very good prospect. I think he is deserving of that top 3 defensive lineman,
Hmm.
you know.
Where do you think? I would definitely agree. I think he's going to create a lot of mismatches, whether it's a speed mismatch on on a center or a guard or a power mismatch on a tackle, I think he is going to create those kind of imbalances in a on a defense, and I think he does have a lot of the tools there to be successful at that next level, but there are certainly problems, like you said, with the standing up too quick, with at points the just getting overpowered a little by centers and guards. But the thing that stuck out to me most was definitely that kind of second wind, where like he's not winning initially off the contact, but he still keeps pushing and trying to uh, just beat whoever's in front of him by any means necessary. And that's a trait I
Definitely.
really like to see out of especially a defensive lineman. So I would definitely agree. I haven't seen Jazon Newton or any of the other guys yet, but so far I can't I can absolutely see a reasonable world where he is a top two, top three defensive lineman. Where would your range be for him? Taking into account positional value, taking into account talent and all that, what's a range you see him in the NFL draft in April?
Well, well, I think for me, a big time factor is who's going to be where. And in that case, I think I'm thinking high teens, low 20s.
Yeah.
I think, obviously guys like Jared Verse will be off the board by then,
Mhm.
most likely. So I believe late teens, early 20s is a pretty good range for him.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree there. I might comp him a little to not comp, but in terms of his draft stock, Kalijah Chansey a little. I think he might have like a weirdly good 3 cone or 40 time, and like for somebody his size, and I think that's gonna put a lot of the more casual fan bases on notice. Like, hey, look at this 300-pound guy running this shuttle
Yeah.
or 40 or like this agility drill, and I think he'll wind up probably like 22 last 10 picks of the first, I'd say. I
Yeah.
think that's where I see him. Part of the reason I'm loving doing all this draft stuff so much is the more guys I watch, the more and like the more years this goes by, the more I can be like, oh, his this reminds me of this guy who I watched like 2, 3 years ago, and that's
Yeah.
that's such a fun experience when I can make that connection. But
Right.
yeah, that's probably where I like end of the first round, I think is where I see him. Who's a team you think would be a good fit for him though? Like in the first, if he's still on the board and this team's picking, you think it would be the best pick?
All right. So there's three teams I'm thinking of.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, the first one, I'm thinking the Seahawks.
Yeah.
The Seahawks got a lot of flack for not taking Jalen Carter last year,
Hmm.
instead taking Davion Witherspoon. It looks like Pete Carroll really wants to rebuild the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
They got a little help trading for Leonard Williams
Mhm.
in the middle of the season,
Yeah.
but I think pairing him up with, they were talking about the Williams wall back with, I
Yeah.
believe, the Bills or the Vikings with Kyle and Mario Williams. Now you got the Leonard wall with Leonard Williams and Leonard Taylor the third.
We need a
I think
Leonard
that
Wall.
would, yeah, we need a Leonard wall in the NFC West. But I think I think that will be a very good piece for that Seattle defense. When you look around, they have like a couple, maybe say they go in inside linebacker, maybe they go another edge, but I think that he'd be a good fit in Seattle. Another team would be the Broncos.
Hmm.
That defense got worse after they traded Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
Their pass rush really has not been the same since then.
Hmm.
They might be high enough to get a Jared Verse,
Yeah.
but if they don't, I don't think Leonard Taylor III is that much worse. And then the last team, I think they'll go for a receiver, but with, you know, the, how you say, unpredictability of the Chris Jones situation, I
Yeah.
think the Chiefs could be in play
Yeah.
for a Leonard the Taylor III.
I could totally see him as a Chiefs guy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the Chiefs every year do draft a guy where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a Chiefs guy. Like they
Yeah.
drafted Karloftis a couple years back, and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Um, But I
Those are
do
my favorite. Those are some of my favorite draft picks, especially like the
Karlaftis.
Ravens drafted. Well, the Ravens drafted like Zay Flowers, and I was
Oh,
like, "Is there Zay Flowers? Does he really fit on
yeah,
any other team as well as the Ravens?" You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Speaking of the Ravens draft, I can't. I told this story on the last film room, but I love it so much. I in like my freshman year of high school. I'm a senior now, but in my freshman year of high school, I they were like, okay, write an article about the Ravens draft. Make it whatever you want, pretty much. And I did, and that was my first like kind of foray into scouting guys and making sure I really knew what I was talking about for writing this article. And at the end of the article, I was like, okay, basically they need a receiver because this is like 2020 it was 2021 as well. They need a receiver uh, in their area. I think Rashad Bateman would be a good fit, but I don't think he'll like fall to them. I think he'll go a little higher than them. And I said they also need an edge rusher because their guys are aging and they're not going to be around forever. I think they should take Jason Owe with their pick. And draft day
Mm.
comes around and they have two first round picks, like two picks at the end of the first, and they take Bateman and they take Owe. I was never happier at any team's draft than me just nailing the Ravens first round.
Oh yeah, no, there was a draft I was watching with my grandparents and my cousins,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Who do you think they're taking?" And I believe it was the draft where the Cardinals took Isaiah Simmons. I believe Brian Burns was in that draft.
Oh.
Like I guessed every single pick in the top 10. And my grandfather was like, "Oh, like you know stuff." And I was like, "Sure."
Uh huh.
Sure.
For sure. I But yeah, yeah. As far as a fit goes, I'm racking my brain. I that Chiefs uh, that Chiefs fit does entice me a little. Um, Pairing him next to DJ Reader might be kind of gross.
Mm,
I think the Bengals will be
yeah.
picking a little too high, but I think
Mhm.
pairing him next to DJ Reader would be gross. With that combo of kind of the agility and finesse versus DJ Reader's gonna maul you, I think that could be super interesting. And oh, excuse me. Um, I don't know. I have an intrinsic um, need to mock the Eagles defensive linemen just because that's all they've done over the past
Right.
couple of years. But it would not make any sense.
Well, I
Um
mean, you are looking, I know they got Jalen Carter last year, but Fletcher Cox, you don't know how long he's going to be
no.
on the
Yeah.
team. So, I mean, it is Howie Long we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not Howie Long, Howie
Roseman,
Roseman.
yeah. He's not from Georgia though, so I do kind of have my doubts.
That's fair.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
But
They're going to pick Brock Bowers and start
they're
making the offense the Georgia offense
they're
now.
trading up for Brock Powers. They have Stetson Bennett, don't
Absolutely.
they? Backing up
No, the Rams
Lawrence.
do.
Oh yeah, dude, so gross. But yeah, I would say best fit, maybe not realistic, but I would like to see him on the Bengals. I think that could be kind of nasty. Um,
Yeah.
Jackie, where can we find you?
Well, Twitter. Well, I'll start with I have my own podcast.
Hmm.
Jackie's got a sports show. Um, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts, constantly trying to get that out. If you want to follow that Twitter, it is Jackie's Show at Jackie's Show with two S's, one lower, one big. If you want to follow my personal podcast, I love to rant about the Titans and talk shit to people. At JJester615, of course, on TikTok, where you know me from
Absolutely.
Jackie Boy Sports, rocking with, I believe, 5,600 followers right now, strong, keeping it moving.
Yeah.
And I almost did the full outro to my podcast, so I'm not going to give out my email or anything, but that's where you can find me. I'm thinking about making YouTube videos. I got a long series idea in my head that I've had for a while that I might do.
Yeah.
I might go back a little, first time saying it publicly, whatever. Might go back and see every single Heisman winner and what happened to him. Might do
Oh,
that.
that'd be cool. That would be cool. I have one in I have a really long wrestling video in production about my favorite I guess I'm not. I guess I'm announcing this for the first time, but I didn't post last week because I have one in production, about MJF, who's in AEW.
Hmm.
He was the reason I got into wrestling, so I'm doing kind of a career retrospective on him and why I think he's the best currently working wrestler.
Right.
Um, but I am also posting. I don't want to go 2 weeks without uploading, so I'm doing a every NBA team's best jersey, I think,
Yeah.
soon. So that should be fun. But yeah, YouTube. It's fun. It's that did not sound convincing. I was thinking about something else when I said it.
No, I
But
did
it is
YouTube.
fun.
I did YouTube for a while on my Jaggy Boy Sports YouTube
Mhm.
channel, and I had to stop because it was a lot of time. And
Yeah.
of course, now I'm doing the podcast. I got work. I'm about to start another thing with one of my friends.
Mhm.
Got a lot of stuff going on to where YouTube kind of got put into the back burner. I'm thinking about it. But on the terms of wrestling and MJF,
Yeah.
I was getting hyped up for the Iron Claw movie. It's gonna suck. Not saying it's gonna be a
Yeah.
bad movie, but the vibes that movie is gonna bring out being about the Von Erichs is just
It's
gonna.
gonna be a really sad experience. It
Oh
might
yeah.
be a very good movie, but I fear a lot of people are going to go into it because it's got the A24 label. It's got
Mhm.
Jeremy Allen White. I'm a big movie guy, so I'm going to talk for too long about this. It's got
No.
A24, it's got Jeremy Allen White, and they're going to be like, "Oh, it's going to be like semi-serious, but it's going to be kind of goofy because it's professional
No.
wrestling," not knowing
Mhm.
like the story of the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard.
Yeah. If y'all want to know about the Von Erichs, there's a great Dark Side of the Ring on it.
Yeah.
And Crime and Sports Podcast does one on Kerry Von Erich,
Yeah.
and it's a great. You listen to that story, and I've listened to that story multiple times and come out going,
Yeah.
especially I have a big amount of brothers,
Hmm.
and just listening to all that really sucks. But I brought it up because I didn't realize that MJF is going to play Lance Von Erich,
He
the
is. I
fake
was
Von
so
Erich.
excited, dude. he, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I don't know how
No,
serious he's gonna be. I don't know how good he's gonna be. I just know that I have to see it if it's good or
yeah,
terrible. He's
it
also
comes
an
out this
executive
month,
producer.
doesn't it?
It's December, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I
later
cannot wait.
December, but yeah, I am excited. I am
What's your
excited.
top three sports movies?
Top
Since
three
I got you
sports
on this
movies.
topic,
Such a good question.
you need time to
Ooh.
think. I can rattle off mine.
Rattle off your. Give me a second. Let me think.
All right, my number one is Remember the Titans. I
Mhm.
saw that when I was very little.
Yeah,
I can quote the entire movie.
real.
My second favorite, and this might be a little dishonest, but I absolutely love it, is Cinderella Man. I don't know if you've ever
I
seen it.
haven't. No.
It's about a boxer who came up and was one of the biggest boxers in the 1910s, and then the Great Depression hit,
Oh,
lost everything,
yeah,
and then it's about his like, coming up and whatever.
yeah.
And then number 3 would probably be something like it's a little bit of a joke, but I absolutely love the movie, Surf's Up.
Dude, I love Surf's Up. I tell
Dude,
women that's my favorite movie because I don't want to unnerve them with like Pulp Fiction or like
right.
I'm a big Raging Bull fan, so I say, "Oh, it's Surf's Up." But I always make
But
somebody
Surf's
tell
Up,
me their favorite first, just so I can kind
yeah.
of match the energy.
Yeah, but no, Surf's Up is one of my favorite soundtracks in the movie.
For sure.
I love the cast. I love the humor. I love everything about the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. It's so good. And I like the style it's shot in too, of kind of the mockumentary
Mhm.
style. I thought that was
Yeah.
such a good medium to tell it. My three favorites, I think Remember the Titans is in there for sure. I would say Moneyball I really liked because
Okay.
I'm a big baseball guy. I play baseball, so I know, you know.
Right.
And then I'm arguing with myself between like Coach Carter, The Sandlot, like um I was really upset HBO canceled it. I really liked Winning Time, the
Mhm.
like Showtime Lakers show. I was really sad they
Yeah.
canceled it because I was really enjoying it. But I think in the third it may have to be I think it'll be The Sandlot, the first one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't watch I just recently I played baseball when I was younger, and my dad played baseball growing up. That's why I was a semi Rangers fan
Yeah.
in the World Series. My dad's favorite player was Nolan Ryan. When my dad was coming up, Nolan Ryan was on the Rangers. But I haven't seen, like, of course, I've seen Angels in the Outfield, Rookie of the Year,
Yeah.
Moneyball. I've seen a lot of baseball movies, and they're good movies.
Yeah.
But playing football growing up, and then I love boxing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Raging Bull is actually one of my favorites, and it's about I don't know if he's fake or not. I think he's real, about a boxer named Jake LaMotta, and it's Scorsese, so it's really well
Mm,
done. It's some of my favorite camera work I've ever seen. It's shot in all black and white for a reason that is probably over my head, and but I really like it just because of a lot of the. It's got Joe Pesci in it too, so
of course, it's a
of
Scorsese
course
film.
Joe Pesci, and
You
the
know,
star is of course Robert De Niro. So
I'm with you. I love movies.
yeah,
I love talking about movies. I love watching content on movies. But if I get into a conversation, someone's like, "Oh yeah, man, the color grading on this and the camera was upside down," and I'm like, "Okay, you got that."
I'm
You
checking
know.
out. Yeah. I'm hoping I haven't gotten any like acceptance letters back yet because I applied relatively recently. But
Mm,
I'm hopefully going to school for like writing and directing because that's what I want to do.
sick.
Yeah. I
I
applied
I
to University of Maryland, whose football season just ended and basketball season is off to a terrible start.
mhm,
Towson, and then St. Mary's, which is a small college up in like more rural Maryland. So
right.
yeah, but a lot of my friends are over there, so that's mainly why.
Yeah, I thought about it for a second, and I wanted to do a lot more film stuff when I was in school,
Yeah,
but I just didn't for whatever reason. My buddies liked me. I did a lot of improv
yeah,
around my buddies,
yeah,
and they were like, "Dude, you have to get into theater so I can like write scenes for you." And I
yeah.
was like, "I'm not trying to suck my own dick. This, I
Real.
promise you, this is what I was told."
No, real.
But yeah,
Yeah, I have a lot of. I'm in theater now, mostly for like the technical side. I'm not really an actor, and to be quite honest with you, um, if you're watching this and you know me and you're in my theater class, I'm not talking about you. I can't stand theater people, dude. There's so much.
that's
There's so
fair.
much, and all my friends who are theater people know that, and they understand. They're like, okay, yeah, I could see how this might grate on a person after a while, but
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
the big meme is theater kids are the worst. They're up there with ROTC kids.
Ugh.
And a lot of that you think, "Oh, overhyped or whatever." But no, if you're if you're
Overhyped,
around
dude.
theater kids
On me.
for more than 5 minutes, you're like, "Please God, kill me or drag me out of here."
Just get me out, please. Like,
No, for me, I hated ROTC kids.
I
If
don't
you
either.
wore
We don't have
if
an
you
ROTC at our school, but in one of our
really?
neighboring schools they do. So, ugh,
Dude,
yeah.
anytime you wore any ounce of camouflage, they're like, "Oh, stolen valor. Oh, like, what a" God, dude. I was never a fighting guy,
Yeah.
but the closest I ever got to fight was those losers, dude.
Yeah, they're so annoying. Like, they care so much. They care theater people too, but they care so much about what other people are doing. Like that's that's I think really where it goes because theater people
Yeah.
care so much about what everyone else except them are doing. And
Yeah.
so do ROTC kids too. They kind of do it in like relation to themselves. We're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm doing 100 push-ups today and I'm sticking this fucking rod up my ass or whatever. I'm better
Oh,
than
yeah, no.
this guy who's enjoying himself."
One of the first times I ever hung out with an ROTC kid, we were hanging out on the street, and she was like, "Alright, let's do 100 push-ups." I was like, "No,
No, it's not
you can do
happening.
that." She was like, "Oh, I've been getting stronger since I've been running up and down the stairs." I'm like, "Good for you.
Why are you running up and down the stairs?
Why are you doing that?
That can't be a requirement.
That's dangerous. I do that when I get scared of someone running after, behind me.
Yeah, I
I
do that
don't
when
do
I
that
turn
for
the
fun."
lights off in the basement. All right, yeah,
But yeah,
that
I
is gonna
appreciate you
be.
having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part of this, the second episode with a guest. Again, thank you so much for coming on. That is all the time we have today. Tyler should be coming out with his MLB free agency video soon. I think it drops tomorrow. Make sure to tune
Mhm.
into that. Thank you for watching.